This is Mastering Mathematics with your teacher, Karen Weston.
Hello, welcome again to second in the series, Mastering Mathematics. Series sponsored by the Ministry of Education using its EPU unit, and now we have our Center for Mathematics Research and Warrior Education and ABS Television. It is a pleasure to come into your homes and onto your doorsteps and on your sidewalks and into the taxi stand to make certain that the world knows that in Antigua we are serious about mathematics and we will be learning it. I don't want you to think about it as something that is done only for examinations. No, we are going to teach you mathematics. Yesterday we began and we started with our laws. And so we gave you two laws, and we had the law, commutative law, in which we said that the order in which we add or multiply numbers does not matter. And then we went ambitiously to say, we want to introduce you to the associative law. And what did it say? We have our associative law, which says the order in which we multiply or add numbers in groups of twos does not matter. I then sent you home to your heavenly rest and sweet slumber to see if you had this exercise. 2 times 3 times 4, would it be equal to 2 times 3 times 4? And of course we know we are working our brackets first to see what we would have been getting for our answer. And guess what? Yes, Mrs. Grant, she went to sleep, but the sun could not rise before she was awake and ready to come back into the studio to let you understand that this was something that she could do. So let us test your wit against what Miss Grant has to say. And guess what? She's from Barnes Hill. So you know the sun rises very early in that vicinity. And she was up before the dawn of day. What did we find out?
We found out that 2 times 3 is equal to 6.
So this was the operation that she was taking care of. And it was 2 times 3 gave her 6.
And 6 times 4 is 24.
So we'll be getting 24 here. Now over here, what did we have?
2 times open bracket 3 times 4.
And what did we get here?
12. So we have 2 times 12 is 24.
And it's equal to 24. So the associative law works very good, right? The order in which we group in groups of twos does not matter, okay? What was the answer when we tried for addition, okay? And the sum we were using at that time was 5 plus 3 in our bracket plus 9. So what did we do first?
We had to do work the brackets. 8, 5 plus 3 is
8, and it was plus the 9, and over here we had 5 plus, open bracket, 3 plus 9. What did we get here?
12.
So that was 12, and it's plus 5. Okay? So what are we getting for our answer? 17. So again, in groups of twos, the order in which we multiply or add numbers does not matter. We'll still be getting the same answer. Okay? So that was our rule for the associative and the multiplicative. Can we go on to another rule before we move off from here? And we're going to say yes, because we don't want to leave this distributive rule outside. So we're going to introduce you once again to what we're going to be calling our third rule, which will be the distributive law. Okay? And again, it says if we have a number outside of a bracket, A, B plus C, then A will be distributed among A and B when we multiply them, so that it will now be going to say it would be A times B plus A times C. All right? I want to talk about, let me say, the distributive law. I will give you the formal English definition another time, but I want to do this one practically because this plays such a big role in terms of using it as a tool when we get into more advanced maths, that I want you to understand what is happening now. So the English language is out, and I'm putting in a practical aspect right here. And what it says is that if we have a number outside a bracket, that number must be multiplied by everything in the bracket. All right? Fundamentally, most of the mistakes that we make in mathematics occurs because we do not understand that operation, or we forget. All right? We forget. It comes in, it dominates the whole plane for algebra, and when we leave it out, we are in trouble. All right? And it comes back from this distributive law. And again, I want you to understand that the distributive law operates as if we were washing a bath of clothes. We have our Clorox outside, our bleach outside, or we have our Fabulo outside, and we're going to put all these things in. What is going to happen? It is going to go in all the linen and all the clothes we are washing. That is the distributive law. All right? It permeates everything that is in that bathtub. And we're calling that our distributive law. Okay? So again, you can tell the world, Miss Grant, that you know about a distributive law. That is called your washing tub and your Clorox. Okay? You put your white blouse in there to wash, and you expect if you throw some Clorox in that water, it's going to go through all the blouses. Okay? And that is what we must do. But for mathematics, we use numbers because that's our building block. Okay? So the numbers would represent our water, our Clorox, our everything that we're looking in. So that if we have a thing outside and it says that we can have 5 open bracket, and it is, let's say, x plus y, because this is where the mistake is made when we're using our distributive law in that field of algebra. Okay? What do we have to do? Everything in the bracket must be multiplied by what is outside. Okay? So we can get then that this then would be equal to 5 times x would give me 5x, and it is plus 5 times y would give you 5y. This is the operation, and I want you to keep an eye on that because it comes back again to haunt us when we get into our topics where we're talking about factorization, and you ask you to take it out, and you're saying you don't know how to do this. I just want to show you the root from where these things are coming. So it is hooked up with our distributive law. It is hooked up with our expansion. And then afterwards, somebody may say, I don't want it going so wide. Let us pull it back in. And that is when we would be getting into a REMS, where we would be talking about factorization down the road. All right? But it stems from our distributive law. Distributive law then tells us everything inside of a bracket must be multiplied by what is outside. So I wonder, are you up to this right now? If I gave you this, that you had 5 open bracket and it is 7x plus 4y, what would be my answer?
35.
So again, we will be saying numbers times number. 5 times 7 will give you 35. And what do we have hanging on to it? An X. So we put it back. And then that is what people are afraid of when they see the letters, but it's just as if you're saying you are Westerns, you are Benjamins, you are Grant, and you are White, okay? And then again, it would be plus
25 was 20.
So 5 was it? And it is hooked on to Y. And we put it back. All right? And that operation comes from using the distributive law. Okay? Now, if we had numbers, because if we're in our primary school and we gave some numbers, even our first form, so I don't want our first formers, just because they're going into a secondary school and you're thinking, when I was in the primary school, I couldn't do maths. It does not have to be, because people keep on telling you, you don't have a foundation. You don't have a foundation. Wherever you are at that point in time, we start building it. All right? So this is what we're going to be showing. So if you had 2 open brackets and they had 8, and if it could have been with 8M and it is plus 7C, what would be the answer here? Because we're giving them mangoes and cherries. So what would be the answer here?
2 times 8.
So that would be equal to 16, and these are our M, and it is plus
2 times 7 is 14.
And it's 14, and these were our cherries. Nothing at all wrong with that. Right, Mrs. Grant, you're going to be up higher than the larks, okay? So I know you were up very early. You didn't even take time to eat your lunch or breakfast. So you know what? It is now time for our second break, our little break, before we come back again to give you some little exercises with mathematics. We are going to have fun, all right? So take your break, come back and join us, because we know that you are going to build on that capacity that somebody told you that you couldn't do mathematics. Yes, you can. See you in a minute.
If you know the answer to a question is incorrect and you cannot find the mistake, start over on a clean piece of paper. Oftentimes when you try to correct a problem, you continually overlook the mistake. Starting over on a clean piece of paper will let you focus on the question, not on trying to find the error. Always read math problems completely before beginning any calculations. If you glance too quick at a problem, you may misunderstand what really needs to be done to solve the problem.
Join us for a new series of Mastering Mathematics, Mondays and Tuesdays, 6:30 p.m. here on ABS TV.
Right, so we are back. So you did take your break, and now again, so we have wrapped up and we're talking about our laws. We know what we're saying about, the first one we did was commutative law. Second one was our associative law. And then I showed you a practical aspect of our distributive law. I will give you the written information on how it is said in standard English when we're talking about our distributive law. Okay, so again, we're into our number theory, and we're talking about adding, multiplying, and I'm sure you heard us talking about saying brackets and everything first. So again, it says when we have our symbols for our operations, and the operations are just our addition, multiplication, subtraction, division, and we bring in a bracket to show something. And what are we saying here? there is a sequence that has to be followed all the time. Sequencing, okay? Sequencing of operations. Operations. And then we get our little people talking about, so the first one we'd be doing is brackets, yes. Okay, so anywhere in the sum we see the brackets, that is worked first. And after the bracket, if that sum has in the word of, that is our next one. And then after that, there is a fight here. But I'm going to write, then we do our division first, okay? Our division. Because we have got to turn the division into a multiplication before we can work it, okay? So we do our division, and then we'd be doing our multiplication. And after that, from our multiplication, we'll get into our addition, okay? And lastly, our subtraction. And yes, you realize what that is all about, because we usually give you just the first letters, okay, of the words, and then you go down into this, that you say it, you repeat it, but we forget, why are we calling that BODMAS, okay? And this has to do with our sequencing. The way in which the operations are carried out, that is what we're talking about, okay? So, if I can get an example here to show you that operation, we will be looking for it, okay? Now, so let's get back into our books here to see what I'm talking about. Okay, suppose we had the operation where you had, so we had, you're given numbers and it is 2 and it's multiplied by 7 and it is minus 3 and it is plus 1. How do we know what to do? Do we just attack the letters as they come? Are we just going to be saying 2 times 7 minus 3 plus 1? And no. BODMAS says we have got a specific sequence in which the operations are carried out. Do we have a bracket in that operation? No. Do we see the word of? No. Do we have the division? No. Do we have multiplication? Yes. And when we are multiplying, what do we have? We have a number in front of the sign and one behind of the sign. So that we know right away we should be attacking in our second line to say 2 times 7, and that would be our 14, right back our minus 3, and it is plus 1. We're going slowly to show you. So that's the first operation, which would be the multiplication. Okay, what's the next one that we would have to look at? Is it 14 minus 3? No. Because in terms of sequencing, it says addition comes before subtraction. And this is our addition sign right here. So we should be then saying it is 14 plus 1 minus 3 is last. So we'd be saying 14 plus 1 to give us 15. And lastly, we would be saying minus 3, which will then give us our answer of 12. Okay? Again, today we want to emphasize it is not the big maths that give us the problem. It's the little mechanics that go with them. So we want to tuck them in as if we're putting putty into the holes on the wall or mortar into the bricks that we put in to make our place look good, all right? So that is what we are talking about, okay? So this operation then, as long as you are adding, subtracting, and multiplying numbers, we know right away that whole sequence of BOMDAS has to get into the operation. So we remember that. Let us look at a second example now. Suppose we were given this particular one where you had, it is 3 and it is plus. We have a bracket and it is 9 minus 8. And then it's coming back over here and we have minus 24 times 2. How do we cope with that? How do we cope with that? Now, the first thing that we would be doing is to see that we'd look and say, what do we have? Do we have a bracket? Yes. So we are going there that we can see right away that we'd be writing back, it is 3 plus. Working our bracket, we're going to get 1, and then we're still just writing back minus 24 times 2. When we're learning something for the first time, we don't try to do the whole operation in one, okay? Then we'd look again and say, what do we have next? We have plus, we have minus, we have multiplication. What it is, we don't have of, we don't have division, we have multiplication. So we write back our numbers until we're going to get to where we meet our multiplication. And what are we multiplying? It is 24 with the 2. Isn't that true? Yes. And that is going to give us 48. All right? And then what is the the next operation in the sequence is the additions, okay? And then so we are going to be adding 3 plus 1, which would give you 4 minus 48, okay? And here we're going to end up, which number is bigger, positive 4 or negative 48? And it is our 48, so that the answer, by how many? And it would be negative 44. So that is what we're going to be getting for that particular answer. So once we start talking about the laws, once we start talking about the operations, sequencing of operation is going to become a part of it. So we have to make certain we understand how this mechanism is carried out. And how is it carried out? We're saying we must work the brackets first, then the word of, then our division, then our multiplication, addition, and subtraction. There's always a sequence to everything, all right? We start talking about laws, operations will come in. We have to sequence our operations so we get into our BOMDAS. Now, this is where I'm going to leave you in terms of our mathematics lessons for today. We will remind you that, again, down at our Center for Mathematics Education, you can come and get videos to any of the series that we have done last year in terms of mastering mathematics. You may decide your own studying pattern, which one you want to come first. You come, if you pay a small little fee, because we have to keep our place going. We have to buy our little things, yes, and we're going to help ourselves, okay? And we can put files on your tablets too. Oh, and yes, my tablet is on its way coming to me, so I can have it to demonstrate the things to you as I speak and do them, but it hasn't gotten here yet. Okay, the postman has not brought it as yet, but all mechanisms are in place for me to have a tablet so that I can show you that too. Okay, so we'll put it on there and you will see exactly. You can stay at home, help yourself, and be your own teacher, all right? We also have DVDs with the same sort of things on, and we are also asking the business community outside there, we are looking for corporate sponsors for our website. We do have a website that says masteringmathematics.info. We also have an email address where you can contact us. It is masteringmathebu@gmail.com. And again, when you're just playing, but it can be work and play, you can go to www.youtube.com/mastering mathematics. For Christmas, anybody asks you what you want, you're trying to build up a library, You're going to buy your little maths text, tell them, give you a textbook. The Oxford Mathematics Book 4 is out. It has a CD. You can help yourself. So you'll have a companion to the text that you're now using, because we're going to be examining that text that we're using. We have been using it now for about 16 years. The results have not been good. So we are going to make certain we put things in place to make certain we can spice up our mathematics. Doesn't matter now if we're in the doldrum, all right? We like to start from the bottom because you know how we are going to shoot up. And you're going to show the world that you can respond to a challenge and that mathematics, fearing of mathematics will be a thing of the past. So have a good evening, and until we come again, do enjoy the rest of what you're doing.
Join us next time for another in the series, Mastering Mathematics, a production of the Education Broadcasting Unit in the Ministry of Education and ABS TV.